and welcome to Storytime on IVTV. Today's book is Sarah's Shadow by Nick Jones. So get comfy, get cosy, and let's read this story together. Hey everyone, look at Sarah's shadow. Sarah Simpkins was playing with her friends in the school playground. It was a bright, sunny day and she was laughing and having fun until Yasmin Hughes ruined everything. Look at it, shouted Yasmin. Sarah's shadow is all long and thin, just like her. Yasmin pointed and cackled. She was always making fun of Sarah. And because Yasmin was laughing, other children in the playground started laughing too. But not Sarah, of course. Sarah felt sad for the rest of the school day. A tight knot in her stomach wouldn't go away. All the way home, she had to fight back the tears. That evening, Sarah stared out of her bedroom window at the clear night sky. And suddenly, she had a terrible thought. What if it's another bright, sunny day tomorrow? And the day after that? Will everyone laugh at my shadow again? Just as the thought was niggling and jiggling about in Sarah's head, she spotted something. Something that whizzed and flickered and flashed across the sky. It was a shooting star. Sarah dashed downstairs. Hey, Mum, Dad, guess what just happened? She shrieked. I saw a shooting star. Wow, Sarah, how exciting, her mum replied. You must make a wish. A wish? Sarah was puzzled. Yes, if you see a shooting star and make a wish, it will come true, or so they say. Sarah's dad nodded. And then go straight up to bed, he said. You've got to be up early for summer camp tomorrow. But Sarah didn't hear him. She was already halfway up the stairs. In her room, Sarah closed her eyes tight. She knew exactly what she was going to wish for. I wish, Sarah said to herself, and she scrunched her eyes shut even tighter. I wish that my shadow would go away. And Sarah opened her eyes. She turned slowly, half afraid that it would be gone and half afraid it wouldn't, and looked for her shadow. It was still there on the wall, looking back at her. Oh, Sarah said, and she sighed with disappointment. But that's when it happened. Suddenly, Sarah's shadow raised its arm. But Sarah's arm was still by her side. The shadow waved at Sarah, but Sarah wasn't waving. Sarah's shadow seemed to stare at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, sadly, it walked away. And then it was gone. When Sarah woke up that next morning, she felt relieved. Her silly old shadow wasn't following her around anymore, which meant nobody could make fun of her. But on her way to school camp, Sarah's happiness turned into panic. She was about to spend 3 whole days in the summer sun with her friends. What if they spotted that she didn't have a shadow anymore? On the first day of camp, the children were taken on a long walk. Sarah stayed at the back so nobody would look at her. On the second day, the children were given a choice of sports to play. Sarah chose water sports and spent all day in a canoe. On the third day, everyone had built a campfire. Sarah collected sticks on her own. Phew, she thought. Nobody has noticed yet. Maybe nobody ever will. But Sarah didn't realise that things were about to get tricky. In the tent that night, Yasmin pulled a torch out of her bag. "Let's make shadow puppets," she said. "Yes!" everyone yelped with glee. Everyone except, of course, Sarah. Sarah couldn't think of anything worse. The girls took it in turns making shapes on the side of the tent. As the torch was passed around, Sarah got more and more worried. What would her friends say when they found out she didn't have a shadow? After Ellie Thompson had made the shape of a bird, it was Sarah's turn. Sarah had to think fast. I need to get some fresh air," she mumbled. And she unzipped the tent and ran outside. Sarah sat on the moonlit grass and cried. "What have I done?" she sobbed. "I should never have made that silly wish." She wiped her eyes and tried to pull herself together, but she just began to cry all over again until she noticed something. Sitting on the ground, just the way she was the silhouette of a girl. The silhouette looked as though it was crying too. Sarah blinked away her tears and peered through the moonlight to look more closely. The silhouette was grey and still, and it made the same shape as she did. It looked like her shadow. Hesitantly, Sarah lifted her hand. Very slowly, she waved at it. The silhouette waved back. Sarah moved her head up and down and side to side. The silhouette's head moved too. Could it be? Yes, it was her shadow. Sarah was so excited she scrambled to her feet and jumped up and down. "I'm so sorry I wished you away," she said. "And I'm so glad I found you again." Sarah's shadow seemed happy to see her too. Well, as happy as a shadow can look. "Actually," Sarah said, "now that I've got you back again, there's something I need you to do. Will you help me?" Sarah's shadow nodded. When Sarah returned to the tent, the girls were still playing. Yasmin was holding the torch. "Can I have my go now, please?" Sarah said. Yasmin shone the torch on the tent. Sarah took a deep breath, held up her hand, and then she formed the shadow of a snail. Then she did 2 honking geese. Next, she did a majestic stag. She followed this with a friendly bear. But best of all, she created a gigantic, terrifying monster. Yasmin was so scared she nearly dropped the torch. When the display was finished, the watching girls cheered and clapped and their eyes sparkled. "Wow," said Ellie. "Where did you learn to do that?" Sarah smiled. "Oh," she said, "let's just say a friend taught me." With her shadow safely back where it belonged, Sarah was over the moon. She'd never wish it away again, not ever. Her shadow was part of her and she loved it. And as it turned out, they could do some pretty impressive things together.